Okay, welcome everyone to the last artist of the year, Salvador Dali. And let's just kind of feel like you could look at the PowerPoint and the outline on your own, and maybe you don't even need to watch me. But I guess I say maybe some useful things and show you the project at the end. But this is an easy project, it should be a quick video. So let's look at what we know about Mr. Dali. As you can see from his interesting picture here, that is pretty representative of him. He is another one of our eccentric artists this year, like Van Gogh, Warhol, even O'Keeffe was a little eccentric. But you see the mustache, he was well known for that. When he was born, and his parents named him Salvador after his older brother who had died while his mom was pregnant with him. And they told Salvador, this one that became the famous painter, that he was like his older brother reincarnated. And I think he was right away had some emotional, strange baggage from this. But he showed artistic talent early on, like most of our great artists. And he had his first art exhibition at age 14. And I believe the place where he had the art exhibition later became like a big Salvador Dali museum. So he studied formally and had some support from his dad. His mother died when he was still like a teenager. But early on, he was just an excellent draftsman. Like you'll see in his paintings, like photorealism here. Oops, there we go. No, sorry. There we go. And you can see that in like this basket of bread. It could be a picture of a basket of bread. Like he is an amazing draftsman. You can see kind of the influence of Picasso. He met Picasso, and he was starting his career at the time that Picasso was, the foremost painter artist in Spain, and Dali was as a Spaniard. So you can see kind of that in the blue period here, that influence and just the exquisite craftsmanship that he has. And it said that he went to the Royal Academy of Art in Madrid. And I mean, he's just was someone who wanted to shake things up. He was not going to follow the system. At his final exam, he said, "You're not fit to," what is his quote? "I'm very sorry, but I'm infinitely more intelligent than these three professors, and I therefore refuse to be examined by them. I know this subject much too well." He is not humble, but he knew he was great. And let's see. So this shows him doing like a more traditional style, Picasso-like style, but then he met the Surrealists and he started to do more of his own style. This is perhaps his most famous painting. I'm sure we've all seen The Persistence of Memory with the Melting Clocks. I read in more than one place that he had painted just the background and didn't know what to put in the foreground. I guess it's a place probably that he remembers from his childhood. Most of his paintings have something from his childhood because he likes to delve into that subconscious, that memory. He's very into the theories of Freud about the subconscious, and things are very dreamlike and surreal. Haha. And that's where we get that term. But then he saw so he had painted the foreground here. He saw some camembert cheese melting as he was like outside eating lunch. And he saw that cheese melting and thought, oh, what if a clock were melting? And there you go. Here it is. And I read also that this thing in the foreground that looks to me kind of like a shell is supposed to be his deflated face. So very interesting. That could be his mustache there, right by the clock. So yeah, so he's often in his paintings, often as a child, because he's remembering things from his childhood. So in Surrealism, there's a definition on the outline. Basically looked into the workings of the mind, and put things juxtaposed, meaning put things together that are not normally put together. but painted very realistically. Like this looks like a realistic clock in a way, although it's melting in the landscape, but then just things that would not normally be there are there to kind of show a dreamlike reality. I think that they'll like this idea when it comes to their projects. Kind of lets you be a little bit silly and crazy. So here's another one from kind of his early. It is largely seems that his earlier works, like from the 30s, are considered his masterpieces. He became very, very greedy, and he would just sign reams of lithograph paper with his name that people could then forge on. It would have his name on there, and he sold those for thousands, just these blank pieces of paper that people could then use to forge his work. So his later works are kind of suspect. Sometimes people don't know if they're forgeries or not. But before he quote unquote sold out, the 30s seem to be like his heyday. So you can see the photorealistic detail. You see a man and a child in the foreground here. That is probably Dali. So, and just, I mean, what are we even looking at? It would be interesting for the, I don't know. It looks kind of like a bone, just like you would see in an O'Keeffe painting almost, floating in the sky. So just talk a little bit about how he would draw things from his dreams, and that the interpretation is very open. There seems to be like a stilt holding this thing up. And again, you can see the realism of the way it's painted, but with surreal images. So, and the next one, this is one of his very famous things, is The Lips of Mae West. So this looks like a portrait on my left-hand side, but we can see from a different angle when you go in. It's like a room. When you go inside the room, you can see it's just a bunch of objects that, when lined up, when you look at it face on, looks like a face. So he created these objects. Here's the lobster telephone. There's a picture in one book I was looking at of like a lobster dress. The designer of the day was inspired by Dali. He was very much in popular culture, kind of like Warhol. Like designers would take his ideas and turn them into other things. And he was involved in movies. He worked with Walt Disney. He worked with Alfred Hitchcock. He very much wanted to be famous, just like Warhol, and played the game. So he met a woman named Gala, and she became like his business manager. She's in a lot of his paintings. I think you'll see her in the last painting. I don't know if the kids need to know that much about their crazy relationship. But she did help him to become famous by setting up his shows and kind of organizing him, because like a lot of artists, he's out there, not really more on the creative side, not knowing how to do the business aspect. So he moved to New York during World War II. He got a lot of criticism from other artists, surrealists, just for wanting to be in the limelight too much, be too mainstream, for avoiding the issues of World War II. He supported the fascist government that took over Spain. He was not on the right side of history in that way. Here is another painting, a couple with their heads full of clouds. So you can see that this play on words, instead of being dreamy, this couple's heads literally have clouds in them. But it's interesting to see how he took kind of sculpture, and I mean, look at the paintings. They look like photographs. I am very impressed by his talent, not so much by his personality, but he is an interesting personality. So here's swans reflecting elephants, and he has a lot of like that optical illusion. He was very interested in like kind of the math behind the paintings, how he could create these illusions. You can have the kids look at this and just, what do you see here? What are the unexpected things? Like, and that you would not see the elephant that's reflected in the lake from these swans. It's just very, very masterful and creative, the way that he created that reflection. Let's see what else. I'm going to talk a little bit about how he would do portraits for celebrities, and he and basically his goal became to make millions of dollars, which he did. it's kind of sad when you see someone who is very talented and created many great things and maybe did some not so great things in order to make money, but we'll focus on the greater things. So here's some more. He was fascinated with the atom bomb. You can see the three sphinxes of Bikini look like an atomic explosion. He called this type of art that he was doing nuclear mysticism, where he was just very preoccupied with the splitting of the atom and the new technology that had come into being. And the elephant here is an example of hyper reality. Like, these look realistic, but look at the exaggeration. Okay. Here is his play on a still life. So he's taking, you know, those typical forms and playing with them. Like a still life normally would be still, but of course his still life is moving, flying through the air. Nothing that he does is normal or rational. It's all the crazy things that your brain would do in a dream. And you can talk a little bit just about his personality. I found this an interesting quote. Every morning upon awakening, I experienced a supreme pleasure, that of being Salvador Dali, and asked myself, wonderstruck, what prodigious thing will he do today, this Salvador Dali? I mean, he thought he was pretty great. And in different books, it says like he would dress in a golden robe and lay in bed at the bookstore while signing books for people. He showed up at something in a limousine filled with cauliflowers. He said that his mustaches were like antennae, talking to aliens. He would say things and do things to get attention. I mean, in a really extreme way, as if his great art were not enough. And this is the last one that will show, The Discovery of America by Christopher Columbus. He did a bunch of these huge, huge paintings. This one is almost 14 feet tall. I think that you'll see the woman who kind of looks like an angel on that flag. I believe that is who became his wife, Gala. She makes her way into a bunch of his paintings. His paintings started to become a little more religious. He would do historical events like this. And he got his wish, just like Warhol became very, very famous. He had 2 museums in his lifetime dedicated exclusively to him. And in one of his museums, the one that displayed his artwork when he was 14, the place that later became his own museum, he went to live there, I believe, and that is where he died. And sadly, like O'Keeffe, he lost the ability to paint at the end of his life. But he created tons of artwork. He is the epitome of this surrealistic style. And I think we'll have some fun with talking about his personality and also with trying to do a surreal drawing. Let me show you how we're going to do that. I also got this book, and I would almost think it's not a storybook like a lot of the books that we get. This one just kind of goes through, and it has his paintings and has very simple explanation and discussion of his paintings. It has these little cartoons that tell you a little bit about Dali's life. I would be disposed for this project. I actually already did the art room, but I think these might even work better than doing the PowerPoint. Just reading this book, if you can gather them around, or if you're doing it with the art cart, this project would be really easy to do with the art cart, which gives you more openness on the schedule. So we have this book, and this is not a time where it's like, oh, this might be good for younger kids. I think that this might just be a fun way to present Dali, is just reading this. Otherwise, you can do the PowerPoint. We have the outline, which I just presented so dryly. And this is what we're going to do. I don't really love these examples. They're okay. These are from years past. Let's look at this one. So you can see here, we're taking I have been cutting out. I have this huge bag of pictures from magazines, and I hope that I have enough. I know that it will last at least the first few weeks, and then you just have to keep in touch with me and let me know if we're running out of pictures from magazines, and I'll try to scramble to get more magazines. I have been scrambling to get enough, and I've been cutting out pictures for weeks so that they can look at, put a few pictures on each table, handful they can kind of play around with, creating some sort of surrealistic landscape. We got the baby with the cow's head here. I mean, this is just kind of the idea. I would like to see them do, put details in. This one's pretty simple. We've got a still life bowl of fruit, and there's just like a face in there. I mean, that's kind of the idea. And you can have them think about, okay, what's a crazy dream that you had? Can create a scene that has aspects of being something you would normally see, but then has like this dreamlike quality of like, hey, that wouldn't normally be there. Why is that there? Or why is that particular object doing something it wouldn't normally be doing? So these are surreal flowers. Let's see, do we have anything? Those are probably the best examples that I have here. So you get the idea. They can look through all your supplies you're going to have is white paper, pens and colored pencils, and glue, and the magazine clippings. And they can create, this is kind of like a crazy, funny, surreal picture. Like you wouldn't normally see melting clocks on a beach. You wouldn't normally see, okay, I see one here. This is a shoe boat. I would like to see them put like, take more than like 5 minutes to do it. It might take them a little while to come with their idea, but it should be fun. It should be quick. It should be easy. For your last project, you could easily use the art cart. Not a lot of supplies, not a lot of setup or cleanup, but he's interesting, and they'll probably have a little bit of fun being silly and making something in the surrealistic style and vein. And so that's basically it. Just be sure to let me know if we're running out of these. I have not counted. I mean, I'm sure I already have hundreds, but each kid could use a few on each one. We'll just see how well it holds up. And if you have any magazines, I know I've asked a few times, but please let me know because I would like to cut up some more. Anyway, so hopefully that's it. And that will work, and I've appreciated all your help and all your hard work this year, and hopefully you'll come back again next year. Okay, thank you.